My name is Dylan Kelly. I'll be reading How I Got the Name by Marilyn, an essay on assimilation. I'll be reading the first and last stanzas because I think they best pertain to the assimilation of the Japanese American people into American society. And the first stanza begins, I am Marilyn Mei-Ling Chin. Oh, how I love the resoluteness of the first person singular followed by the stalwart indicative of be, without the uncertain ing of becoming. Of course the name had been changed somewhere between Angel Island and the sea. When my father, the Paperson, in the late 1950s, obsessed with the bombshell blonde, translated Mei-Ling to Marilyn, and nobody dared question his initial impulse, for we all knew lust drove men to greatness, not goodness, not decency. And there I was, a wayward pink baby named after some tragic white woman, swollen with gin and Nembutal. My mother couldn't pronounce the R. She dubbed me the #1 female offshoot. For brevity, henceforth she will live and die, in sublime ignorance, flanked by loving children and the kitchen deity. While my father dithers a tomcat in Hong Kong trash, a gambler, a petty thug, who bought a chain of chop suey joints in Pitts River, Oregon. With bootleg Gucci cash, nobody dared question his integrity, his nice devoted daughters and his bright industrious sons. If filial piety were the standard by which all earthly men were measured. So the first stanza talks about how she had her name changed from Mei-Ling to Marilyn when they were moving to America. And I think a lot of Japanese Americans, or Japanese that were immigrating to America, would do this to integrate better into American society. And it also talks about how her father was attracted to the American women, the bombshell blondes as she puts it. And this is related to how the Japanese Americans saw America. They thought it was going to be better than their country, and they would be hopeful that it was a better place. And we move into the second stanza where she talks about America. She talks about how she got there and it's not really what she expected, and this is relatable to the Japanese because they came to America and they were put in concentration camps, and obviously that's not what they wanted. They were hoping to find home. And she has a line in the second stanza, oh bamboo shoots, the further west we go, we'll hit east, the deeper down we dig, we'll find China. And I think this is well put for Japanese Americans just looking for a place to call home. And they would just keep heading west, hoping that they'd find something better, and they never did. And eventually they were put into camps way in the west, and that's where they had to settle forcefully. And in the third stanza, she talks about how Americans see she talks about how Emperor Qin is looking down on Asian Americans and he's not pleased what he's seen. And I feel like this is a good metaphor for how maybe Americans would see Japanese and how they were like, how it was like the racial prejudice. They weren't happy that they were there and at the time during World War II, and it caused racial divide, and they were obviously put in camps. And last stanza begins, so here lies Marilyn Mei-Ling Chin, married once, twice, to so-and-so, a Li and a Wong, a granddaughter of Jack the Patriarch, and the broiding Sulian Fong, daughter of Vitreous Yuet Quen Wong, and Gigi Chin the infamous, sisters of dozen, cousin of millions, survived by everybody and forgotten by all. She was neither black nor white, neither cherished nor vanquished. She's just another squatter in a bamboo grove, minding her poetry. When one day heaven was unmerciful, and a chasm opened where she stood, like the jowls of a mighty white whale, or the jaws of a metaphysical Godzilla. It swallowed her whole. She did not flinch nor writhe, nor fret when about the afterlife, but stayed, solid as wood. Happily, a little nod, tattered, mesmerized, but all of that was lavished upon her, and all of that was taken away. And this is my favorite stanza. She talks about how she survived the coming to America and how it changed her and really beat her down. And when the Japanese Americans were here, they were fighting in the war against their own people, and they were dying for America to prove that they cared about this country. And she says, neither black nor white, neither cherished or vanquished, just another squadron in a bamboo grove. And this is pretty good metaphor for how the Americans didn't really care about the Japanese. They would just be there. And last thing is that in the end she says, but stayed solid as wood, happily a little nod, tattered and mesmerized. And the Japanese community basically survived World War II, and it changed them as a community, but they were still in America, and they eventually integrated and became part of America. Thank you.